Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Just on.
Okay, so just checking on those online. Can you also hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So firstly, thank you to Lee for a warm and generous introduction. I hope I am worthy of that. And Lee, as he said, I've known him for quite some time, and probably the most creative person I have ever met. And once he asked me to do a workshop, and I said, "What's the topic?" It was in India, and he threw an orange at me. He said, "That's your topic." And he could probably do a one-day retreat using an orange. And I had to think for 1 hour now, how do I use this to share the spiritual secrets of life? So thanks for being you. Yeah, I've been in this study and practice of Raj Yoga meditation since I was about 8 or 9 years old. So I have had the great fortune of observing and growing up with some highly spiritually mature people and learning a lot from them about what to do, what not to do, how to approach life. And I think probably I've learned more through being in their company than simply being in classes. So the topic we have chosen for today is about communication. And certainly one of the things that we hear a lot is, you don't understand me. Nobody understands me. So many problems in communication. And when there are miscommunications, then there are misunderstandings. And where there are misunderstandings, it then leads to some kind of conflict. And this applies both to personal, interpersonal level, but also same thing applies on international level. And so the message of spirituality and self-awareness is first learn to understand yourself, listen to yourself, know yourself, and then you'll be able to communicate clearly and also understand what another person is trying to tell you. There are so many barriers between the communication one sends out and the other receiving that communication. Firstly, I need to be clear in what I wish to communicate and get through my own barriers of prejudice and bias and conditioning. And the one receiving that communication also has to not be influenced by their own bias and prejudice and conditioning, projection, and so on. So it's a rare thing that people are actually able to communicate well. And what I find, especially where I live in Istanbul, a lot of people are very good at finishing sentences that other people have started. Do you get that here too? And so what happens there, because of this interruption, it causes people to speak faster. And I found myself doing that too. I know what's going on. And when you speak very fast, to get the words out before the interruption comes, it creates tension in your mind. So imagine one tense mind trying to communicate with another tense mind, and you lose the actual meaning of the communication. What also is very common is one person will say one thing, the other will listen to the first few words or first couple of sentences of what the other says. The rest of the time they are speaking, I am busy preparing my response. So I'm not listening to you. I'm listening to me, preparing my response to you. And by the time you have finished what you're saying, my response is irrelevant. So we can see that a very big part of life in general, but also communication, is taking care of your mind. And one thing that we discover as we step onto the path of spirituality and self-awareness is everything in life is connected to how you are taking care of your mind. Look at sports, for example. A big part of sport, it is a mind game, especially individual sports. Like today, we have the final of the AO and also tomorrow. So elite sports people will also have a psychologist to teach them how to motivate, how to be focused, etc. How to play the shot in your mind first before you repeat it on the court. Business is a mind game. Marketing, advertising, it's all a mind game. Politics is certainly a mind game. And to some degree, war is also a mind game. The whole of life is a mind game. Relationships, handling people who are nice to you, handling people who are not nice to you, being praised, being criticized, succeeding at something, failing at something, being the center of attention, being ignored. How you handle all of this is a mind game. So if we know how to take good care of our minds, everything in life begins to feel like a form of entertainment. So what I'd like to do with you in this session is share some ideas with you, use the board, and also do one or two activities. Is that okay? Yes. Okay, do you mind making a fool of yourself? Is that okay?
Very much.
Great, all right, let's do that.
You know, I very much minded. I will participate.
It's too late, Lee. All right, so let's look at some ideas here. Of course, as we pass through life, there is so much for us to learn, but especially when we come onto this journey of self-awareness and meditation, another whole new world of learning opens up to us. And that's why we sometimes say it's like the opening of the third eye. You can see what has always been there, but you couldn't see it before. For example, let's say tomorrow morning when you wake up, another eye has grown at the back of your head. Would your life change? It should. Firstly, you'll be in the circus. But secondly, now as you walk down the street, not only can you see what's in front of you, you can also see what's behind you. So too, self-awareness, spirituality, and meditation teaches us to see what I could not see before. The impact of my thoughts or my attitudes upon other people, my relationships, situations and circumstances I find myself in. So much of our mental energy is creating our physical reality. And we can be supporting certain dynamics in life, not realizing I am contributing to my own bad situation. When we make the changes here, we find changes happening outside of us. So we can say in this regard, there is so much for us all to learn. But I do feel that there is something as important, or maybe even more important than learning. And what might that be? What is as or more important than, yes? Being present. Yeah, okay. All right. Anything else?
Being curious.
All right. Okay. Being in receiving mode. Implementation, yes. Okay, up here, sir. Learning difference between right and wrong. All right, thank you. And over here. Huh? Listening, yeah, we're going to look at that in a moment. All of these things and many more, but I would feel more important than learning is to unlearn. I think we have mislearned many things as we have passed through life. I feel we have to unlearn what we have mislearned so we can relearn what we should have learned. And especially at our age, we're all adults, there are things we have picked up which sometimes block us from being the best we can be as a communicator, as a human being, as another person. And this is where meditation is extremely useful because it teaches us to look in the inner world and see what can I improve there, rather than why you should be better so I can be more happy. You should talk to me more nicely, then I'll be more happy. So we have this tendency of externalizing responsibility. But meditation teaches us that the way somebody else speaks or behaves is their choice. The way I feel is my choice. So am I trying to make your choice better, or am I working on my choice? And that's one of the big differences between awareness, self-awareness, and non-awareness. Now, good communication also requires us to be intelligent. Now, I'm looking for an eraser. Yeah. So once that's coming, even this term intelligence has taken on newer and newer definitions over time. And every day there's another new form of intelligence that we hear about. But I like to summarize it in 4 main types of intelligence. Thank you so much. Thank you. The one that I think we are most used to hearing about is, of course, this one. Yeah, a person's IQ, rational intelligence, which is logic, reason, analysis, and so on. And for a long time, this was the only intelligence we really discussed. And if somebody scored high on an IQ test, we would say she or he is very intelligent. But this is no longer enough for successful living today. Other kinds of intelligence are also required. The next one up is known as I see. This stands for a person's intuitive capacity. That is your ability to tap into and listen to your inner wisdom. Now, every person, every human being has something called inner wisdom, inner voice. And it's trying to guide us in our daily decision making. But rarely do we listen to it because the mind is too noisy. Chattering, chattering, chattering all the time. So it's like trying to listen to a voice in a storm. You know something is there, but you can't quite make out what it is. And this is where practices like creative visualization, guided imagery, meditation are extremely useful because it allows the mind to become quiet. When the mind is quiet, you can listen to yourself. You can allow that inner wisdom to guide you in your daily decision making. I don't mean just the big decisions of life like job or marriage or travel or whatever, but everyday life. Something happens. Should I say something? Should I not? Is this the right moment to say this or not say this? Who should I talk to? Spur of the moment decisions. If my mind is quiet, I'll be able to instinctively know what is the appropriate behavior in the heat of the moment. Now, I know many of you already do meditation, but I'd like to suggest we do a little creative visualization exercise to see how fairly easy it is to go to that quiet space inside. Is it okay for you? Yeah? All right, so I'll speak out a simple guiding commentary. So no need for music here. And you may just close your eyes for this particular exercise. Have your back straight, your feet flat on the floor. If you have your electronic baby, please make sure it's in sleeping mode. So we spend a few moments just to relax the body, relax the mind. There is a world outside of me, and there is a world inside me. The world outside is the world of sound and movement. It is the world of doing, the world of action. And I cannot control the world outside. But the world inside is the world of my thoughts, my feelings, and my experiences. The world inside is in my own hands. My thoughts create my feelings. So now just bring your attention up towards your face. Bring your attention to the center of your forehead. And here at the center of your forehead, picture a small room. This tiny room in the center of the forehead is your quiet room of peace. When you are inside your quiet room, you feel very relaxed. This is your private and personal space. Inside your quiet room, you can be yourself. Inside your quiet room, you feel safe, secure. You can let go of your daily roles and responsibilities. You are free from the pressures and demands of your daily life. Feel the peace and the wonderful silence of your quiet room. Just allow your mind to absorb this atmosphere of serenity, tranquility. And as you do so, the thoughts begin to slow down. The mind becomes calm, quiet, relaxed, stable, peaceful, and free. Just be with this feeling of peace in your mind for a moment. Ready? You can just open your eyes. Mhm. Very simple to do, but a little practice you may wish to do more often in your daily life, especially when you're feeling a bit anxious, a bit worried, a bit not clear-headed. Just go to your room, go to the quiet room inside, be there, recharge your mental batteries. And when you come back out, you feel more clear-headed. You feel more clear about what you really want. One of the reasons for miscommunication is I don't really know what I want. So I myself am confused. Therefore, I give a confused message to others. What I say should be a reflection of who I am. When there's a disconnect between the two, then we also confuse other people. Therefore, very, very important and multiple benefits of making the mind silent. When the mind is silent, you can see a solution to a problem in your life. When the mind is noisy, even if a solution is standing in front of you, you cannot see it. Even if a solution is doing jumping jacks in front of you and saying, here I am, can't see it. And especially in the current days where we have so much information being thrown around the world on our toys of technology, it's so important to go inside, look after the mind. Think of this, that whenever you buy any technology, whether it's a phone or a laptop or even a car, what comes with that technology? What comes in the box? a charger and get a user manual, no? Which tells you how to use it correctly and how to maintain it. Question is, where is the user manual for the mind? How are you supposed to think? How many thoughts are enough about something? How are you supposed to handle criticism, failure, aggression, and so on? So there's a whole science of knowing how to use our thought energy, which we seem to have passed by, especially in our current generation. Let's look further at these intelligences and then go on to something more. So next one up, which again, everybody is very aware of, so many books and studies about this, is EQ, our emotional quotient or our emotional intelligence. And there's no one set definition, but it's to do with how well you understand and manage your own emotions, and also how you understand how other people are feeling. If you can do the first, then you can do the second. If I cannot manage my own emotions, I will project them onto you. And what you say or don't say, how you look or your facial expressions, I will misinterpret them through the filter of my own unresolved emotions. And so terms like emotional intelligence, mindfulness have cropped up in the last couple of decades because we got so busy in doing other things. We forgot how to take care of the inner world. Then there is one here, which is sometimes considered the highest of the intelligences. Now, what do you think this might be? It's not AI, by the way. That's something else we have to deal with. Yeah. It's AQ. All right. Okay. But something else here. Yeah. Yes. That's right. Yeah, exactly. SQ, our spiritual quotient. Again, no set definition, but that is of identity. You know, are you? Two big questions. But answering these questions takes you to the engine room of your soul. It helps you to discover your DNA, the DNA of your soul. And people who work on this SQ, I find two main signs in such people. One is they own their motivation. Now, there's two kinds of motivation. There's emotional motivation, which is based on external factors. For example, I give you more money, give you a company car, give you a bigger office. Fast-acting motivation, but doesn't last very long. Then there's inner motivation, intrinsic motivation, which is based on understanding identity and purpose. The second sign of people with high SQ is they have a deep-seated sense of contentment. Even if they fail, they don't get the blues. Even when they're criticized, they don't become reactive. Because I know who I am and I know why I'm doing what I am doing. A very important journey to go on to answer these two questions. So you see there's a lot for us to explore as we step onto and progress into the path of spirituality. So there's an interaction, a deep relationship between knowing myself and how I relate to the world, how I communicate with other people, and what messages I give out to the world, what messages I take in. Let's do this. Question for you. What do you see? Be creative. Do not limit yourself. You just raise your hand before you say something, otherwise we'll all speak at the same time. Spiral, okay, spiral, could be. Snail, yeah, all right. Asa? Pardon? A web, okay, a web. We'll come to you in a second. Sorry? Vortex, okay. Yes, yeah.
The inner core.
The inner core, inner core. Inner core. That's a very interesting answer. I haven't heard that one before. The inner core. Great. Okay. Yes, sir.
I was thinking a tornado.
A tornado. Oh, okay. All right. Could be. Could be. Whirlpool. Yes. Yes, sir. Okay. Maze. All right. Yeah, and some people say it. Yes, sir. Spiral staircase. All right. Yeah, some people say they see a thumbprint. Some say they see the universe, the galaxy. Some say they see a jalebi, which is an Indian sweet, right? Or they see a cinnamon roll. This tells me something about where their mind is at. So it could be all of these things, but there is a but. The but is that all the answers that come are about this. Nobody said, I also see lots of wide, empty, open, available space as well. I did not ask, what did I draw? I asked, what do you see? So your eyes immediately went to this. And therefore, although you were aware of the empty space, you did not pay attention to it. Therefore, all your creative thinking went into what you see. And there are 5 steps here. What you see will influence what you think about. What you think about will generate your emotions. Your emotions will influence your choices and your decisions, the places you go, the people you spend time with, the relationships you form. And all of that creates your world, your life, your reality. So if you want to improve anything in your life, where should you start? I'll give you a clue. It's about what you see. Can I see differently? Can I change what I see? Now, here was just an example of the physical eyes, but the point we're making is the eye of your mind. As you pass through day-to-day life, it's up to you what you choose to see. You may be criticized. What you choose to see in that is up to you. You can take it as a lesson to make you more resilient, to make your dignity stronger. You may fail at something, but what you see in that is your choice. You can choose to see a lesson. You can choose to see it as an opportunity to grow. So how I receive that communication is in my hands. What someone is saying to me, I cannot control. How I choose to receive it is in my hands. This is extremely important for human life. And there's this wonderful saying, Jaisi aapki drishti, वैसी आपकी सृष्टि. As is your vision, is your world. With the flow. Don't just grow with the flow, but glow with the flow. Don't just go through life, but grow through life. So it all depends on what I am choosing to see and where I am giving the attention of my mind. Now, the things that you have learned in your life so far, how have you learned them? The experiences? Yes. Anything else? Reflecting. Okay.
Indoctrination.
See me afterwards, please. Sorry, somebody said something? Okay, the things you've learned in your life, how have you learned them? All right, great. Asking questions, seeking answers. Okay. All right. Analyzing the mistake. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's do a little exercise in learning styles. This would require you to stand up for just a moment. Would that be okay? So there's only one rule in this exercise, and that rule is please do as I say. Do you accept? You agree? Do you trust me? Are you sure? All right. It's not dangerous and it's not embarrassing. But just put your right arm out parallel to the floor. Some of you may need to move just a little bit. Okay, now just bring your hand in towards your body. Okay, that's fine. Now move your hand out again. All right. And now just bring your finger and your thumb together. Okay, and now just bring this in towards your body. Once again, just extend your arm as far as it can go. One last time, bring your hand in towards your body. Bring it up to your face. Gently, very gently, just touch your chin and freeze. Just hold it right there. Do not move. Just keep it right there. Okay. Okay. Now, what did I say? Touch your chin. And what are most of you doing? Huh? Chin is down here. This is called a cheek. So why are you doing this? Yeah, my fault, right? Blame Yogesh, as always. Yeah, right, right. All right, thank you. You sit down. Yeah? So what this tells us, of course, is inside there is something called a mind. And we have 5 senses which bring 5 kinds of information to the mind. The main ones for human beings are eyes and ears. For dogs, it's a nose, but it's a different story. But for human beings, it's eyes and ears. So your ears were telling you, touch your chin. Your eyes were seeing me and telling you, touch your cheek. You chose, most of you, to listen to your eyes and not listen to your ears. Most of the learning we do by observing other people. Especially when we're children. We observe and we absorb. The child's brain is like a sponge, absorbing, absorbing, absorbing. Of course, we learn many good things by observing parents, some friends, relatives, and so on. But as well as that, we learn some self-limiting habits. And by repeating some of those habits, by the time we are adults, they have become deep-rooted patterns. And those patterns can then last for a lifetime. And that's where meditation, self-awareness allows us to just observe our own patterns and learn how to shift them. That's why awareness really is the key word when it comes to becoming free from my old patterns. I observe myself, I realize where I am maybe limiting myself, and I make a change. The basis of observing is also making the mind silent, making the mind quiet. In terms of how we communicate with others and what makes an impact on others, there's a lot of research done about this. I do some work in leadership and presentation styles and so on. So just to share with you some of the data that researchers have come up with, and of course can differ from place to place. But when you are receiving a communication, this is how the impact breaks down on what you actually remember of a communication. So what do you think is 55% of the impact when someone communicates with you? Sorry? That's another story which researchers don't know about. We're coming to that. Yeah, I mean, you're actually right. That vibration is 100%, but they haven't got to that point yet. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's the that's the answer. So 55% is known as the visual. And so the visual is, as you say, it's your gestures, your body language, your posture, also your facial expressions, especially for parents and children. The child is just watching with open eyes. Whatever is the facial expression is a huge communication to the child. So if a little child falls over and the parents are like, oh, that's a terrible thing, that's a message. Something bad happened, which further triggers time to cry. If the parents do something else, maybe, oh, well done, good one, good one. Maybe a different response. So some of the impressions we are carrying are visual images that we have picked up over time. And then 38%, as you mentioned, is to do with the tone of voice. So that impacts us automatically. We pick it up. And I would say that when two people are having a conversation, we listen more to the emotional conversation rather than the verbal conversation. So we're automatically checking for the facial clues and messages. Does this person respect me? Is this person honoring what I'm saying? We're looking out for that as well as listening with the ears to what we are hearing. Why? Because in my understanding, perhaps the deepest need humans have from other humans is to feel respected. Love and respect, these two things go together. And regardless of somebody is a child or grown up, educated, uneducated, if you show someone respect, they like it and they want to help you. If you are disrespectful to someone, they don't like it. And so when we are communicating with someone, it's important to also check what sort of energy am I communicating, even beyond just the words, the content of the words which I'm speaking. And this is the third, the 7% is the actual words. Now, when these three come together, what I say, how I'm saying it, and how I come across, when these three come together, that is what creates impact. Our communication has an impact because there is a match between these three things. But when there is a mismatch between these, then we give mixed messages to others and they get confused. Let's take an example of how visual communication is the most powerful. Let's say you attend a science lecture and the teacher, she gives a brilliant talk about physics. Very clear, very organized, step by step. It's very well thought out. But as she is giving the talk, she's wearing a diamond necklace, diamond earrings, and an evening ball gown. What will you talk about with your friends after the lecture? Yeah, right? Is the visual impact. That's what impacts you the most. So therefore, we have to bear these things in mind when we are interacting, communicating with others, not to give the mixed messages. Is that clear so far? Yeah? Yes, sir.
Do I understand you to be saying this? And subsequently, having said that, do I now understand it so that I can apply it to me in my life? The end result in understanding what was being said.
So you would ask this to the teacher, you were saying? Did you say this is what you would ask to the teacher?
Past having come up with this, you understand.
Okay, okay. All right.
Otherwise, the teacher has not communicated adequately to me in all of those.
Yeah. Okay. So you check for that. Yeah. Thank you. The first communication skill, and perhaps the most important one, as we've touched on a little bit already, is how we listen. Right? Because if I listen and understand what someone is communicating, then I can respond appropriately and meaningfully. So there's two main aspects to listening, and these require more skills than simply the skill of our rational intelligence. So let's do this. Are you up for a little activity? Yeah? All right, let's do that then. So I'm going to ask you in a moment to get into groups of threes, but first I'm just going to explain to you how we're going to do this. So we're going to have one person facing this way, another person facing this way, another person facing this way. One person will be a speaker. Second person will be a listener. Third person will be an observer. Okay? Speaker, listener, observer. Speaker will speak for 2 minutes. I'll give you the subject. Listener will listen for 2 minutes without taking notes, without interrupting. An observer is observing and also taking notes. After 2 minutes, listener has to recall as many facts as possible about what the speaker said. All right? Recall as many facts as possible. Then observer gives a performance feedback. Okay, a listener recalled 90%, 80%, etc. Is it clear? All right, the topic is going to be, the speaker will speak about my house. So you describe your house, describe, how many rooms there are, colors, etc. Happy to do this? All right, so just get into this kind of formation. Threes, two people facing each other, and the observer in the corner.
That space exercise, you know, I'd forgotten about that. And then I thought, he's not going to catch me out next time. Chin, right. I won't watch him. He's evil. You still go out and work? Do you?
Okay, so how are we doing? Hmm? All right, I'm gonna ask you just to stop there, but stay where you are. Stay where you are. We haven't finished yet. So just a quick check to see on the question for the observers, how well did the listener listen? So what percentage here? Just percentage. 70% recall. All right, not bad over here. 70 again. All right, over here. 90. Oh, I gotta applaud you for that one. Okay, over here. A little under 50. All right, 50. Okay, at the back here. 90. Okay, again. 70 to 80. All right, and over here. 80. That's pretty specific. 85. Are you sure it's not 86? Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. And I think we're over here. 70 to 80. All right, and 90. So 90 seems to be the peak there. All right, so this was listening for facts. But now we come to, sorry.
सो गया इसमें ना वो पिक्चर तो खत्म हो गई लेकिन आवाज आ रही है और कहाँ से आ रही है वो मेरे को समझ ही नहीं आ रहा.
It's the communication coming through. Yeah. All right, now we're going to do part two. Okay. Part two, you stay where you are, but speaker and listener change roles. All right, observer stays the same, 2 minutes, but the subject is different this time. Right, and this time you're not listening for facts. This time you are listening for feelings. What that means is, as the speaker is speaking, observers trying to pick up, what is this person feeling as they are talking to me? So you have to listen out, catch the vibe, look at the eyes, look at the features, look at the expressions. You're trying to understand the emotions coming from the speaker. Not interested in facts this time, only the feelings. Is it clear? Subject is different. Subject is someone who inspires me. Okay, could be a hero, could be could be a film character, could be someone in history, could be your mom, could be anyone. Someone who has, in the past or even now, has inspired you in some way. Everybody know at least one person like that? I don't mean the one in the mirror, I mean somebody else. Okay? So just think of one person. Maybe just take a moment of silence and just try and think of one person who inspires you. And then I'll ask you to start for 2 minutes to share. And listener again will say what feelings are picked up. An observer will give a comment on how the listener was listening. Okay? So just close your eyes for a minute. Yes. What emotions is the speaker feeling as they are speaking? Just close your eyes. Just reflect on this. Someone who maybe in childhood inspired me, maybe a teacher, maybe a film character, maybe some famous person, maybe someone you knew, anyone. Okay, so if you feel you've identified at least one person, then your 2 minutes start now. Off you go. Okay, that's about 2 minutes. So now, listeners, what feelings did you notice coming from the speaker? Now the listener says what feelings you noticed the speaker was feeling as they were speaking. Okay, just 1 minute more, 1 minute more to finish off. Okay, can I ask you to wrap up there? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can I ask you to wrap up there? And I know you can keep talking for hours, but I have a plane to catch. That's why I'm going to wrap this up. Okay. So thank you. If you can just turn and face this way, please. Please receive my communication. Please face this way now. All right. Yeah. All right. Thank you. So it would be lovely to, of course, hear what went on in your group, what feelings you picked up, but just just to summarize and to wrap up. So as you saw in the first time we were listening for the facts, which you listened to mostly with your ears, but second time you're listening for feelings. So that you have to listen with your eyes, especially you look at the eyes of the other, the gestures, facial expression, and you pick up the vibe, which is another thing that especially meditators are good at picking up, the vibe coming from another individual. So these two things together, when we listen for both, this is known as active listening. So listening for what somebody is saying and what they are feeling as they are saying, that's considered complete listening. In our exercise, we broke it down into 2 individual parts, but you have to do these both together. And you will know that when you speak to someone and you feel you have really been listened to, you feel respected, you feel honored. But if someone is speaking to you and a little bit you're looking at your watch or giving that look as though I'm not really interested, hurry up and finish, then you feel, well, he didn't listen to me. He didn't really care. But engaging with people on both fact and feeling level, that's active listening and a very big part of healthy relationships, to be a good listener. Final thing, just to wrap up, is again, when you communicate with somebody else, 2 questions. Who am I as I communicate? And who are you when I communicate with you? I'm going to show you one last model here. And this is an ongoing practice. It's a lifelong practice to be aware of who am I and who are you as we communicate. So consider this just to represent you the being, you the spiritual energy, you the soul, whatever word you use. So here I am, covered over by the various identities I'm carrying, which you may call as my ego masks. And the kinds of identities are connected to the things I do and the things I have. So for example, there is the nationality identity, there may be the race, gender, the religion, the socioeconomic demographic, etc., etc. So we absorb all of these doing and having identities in our consciousness. And here is another person. Here is another human being, another human soul. And they, of course, have their own set of identities and ego masks. Nationality, religion, race, gender, so on and so forth. So what tends to happen when 2 people are communicating is my ego masks are talking to your ego masks. And if something is similar, for example, maybe, I talk to somebody somewhere and my nationality, it's the same as that person's nationality. So, well, we are friends. We come from the same town. We're at the same university or something common between us. But sometimes there may be a difference. My race, my religion, maybe is different to that person. So it doesn't work. Or we come across the differences that exist between me and you. What we learn in spirituality, meditation, is first I need to step back from all of my ego masks, my biases, my prejudices, my conditioning, and realize I am not what I do. I am not what I have, but I am. I am a spiritual energy. I am a soul. And once I am rooted in this soul awareness, then when I see another person, my vision will cut through their ego masks, and I will see the other also as another spiritual energy, another spiritual being. And when I communicate with somebody, having that in my awareness, that soul-to-soul communication is authentic. That's real. And that's where I can really generate authentic feelings of respect and acceptance for another. I can go beyond the biases, prejudices I may have been carrying. But this is a work in progress to clean my consciousness, firstly, of my ego masks, and then look beyond your ego masks and see there is a person there. There is a human being there. There is a soul there. And again, some of us have known some amazing meditators, yogis over the years. They may not speak your language, but in their presence, the communication of acceptance and respect and love is so deep, you feel a kinship. You feel a connectedness. That's called soul-conscious communication. It's the basis of solid, real, respectful relationships and interactions with others. So I'm going to have to wrap up there. And it's not an excuse, but I have a plane to catch. It's real. So I do need to finish off there. So I thank you all for your attention, for playing the games. And okay, maybe we have just a moment of silence, and I'll hand over to whoever needs to wrap up. So let's just be quiet for a moment. Just make your mind peaceful. You may just bring this image of a peaceful star, the center of your forehead. I, the being of peace. I, the soul. My deepest nature is peace and still.
Thank you, dear brother. Thank you. Much greater clarity. Hi, everyone. Today, only for vegan